Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margo Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy. Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margo Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We are Sweet 16 right now. It's the 16th season we're doing.
We could get our license to drive.
We can, and date a Corey. It's all very, very exciting, and we thank you all so much for joining us today. If this is your first time listening, it's a little bit different than what we normally do. What we normally do is one of us picks a creep, and the other one is challenged to come up with a non-creep to battle that creep, so hopefully you don't feel like the whole world's going to bust up into pieces. In these episodes, we do a quartet of creeps. So we have four creeps today. Nothing huge, no serial killers, no monsters. These are just your basic creeps. And we decided to stick with the theme of reality TV creeps because those are the most fun to debate. These people are being paid to basically be, I'm making air quotes, themselves. If they act shitty, we're allowed to talk about it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, if you got the bitch edit on your reality show, you're probably a bitch.
You're probably being an asshole.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Facebook. We do have a basic Facebook page, but neither one of us really checks that because people just go there to complain about our language. We use salty language in this program. And Sonia is actually having a glass of rosé. What is it today?
Oh, I've got some Pinot Grigio here.
Nice.
I've gone light. Yeah, so fuck yeah. It's going to get salty.
We have a private Facebook group. You type in, What a Creep podcast group. We have 3 different questions you need to answer in order to join the group. We're a nice group. People behave themselves. We talk about creeps. We vent. We get it out of our system. We also praise people who are not creeps, which is also, I think, super fun. So join us there if you're into the Facebook thing. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, we're at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for over 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We're on Instagram, What a Creep Podcast. Please follow us at those places if you use those pieces of social media. We also have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. We have some stickers. If y'all would like some stickers wherever you are on the planet of Earth, we will send them to you post-haste. Actually not. Sometimes it takes me a few weeks, but I answer the email pretty quickly when you request them. whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Sonia, do you want to tell them about the website?
Yes, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about the podcast, but we're afraid to ask. It has links to all of our seasons except for the first 4 or 5 now.
4. We're going to go to 5 pretty soon.
There's some good ones in there. So more on that in a second. There is all of our episodes are linked there. And all of our episodes have show notes, and they include all of our sources. Every episode is sourced. So if they're like, they don't do their research, we do. That's right there in the show notes. And there's also a link to our merch shop where you can get t-shirts and face masks and tote bags. And we're seeing such cute stuff in the Facebook group that y'all are getting. I love it. And we've gotten some requests for Ragey Sonia ones, so maybe like a Ragey Sonia activated design. So maybe I'll do that this weekend. I've got some time. So we've gotten a couple requests. I'll be adding some new stuff. And do you want to tell them about the Patreon page?
I certainly do. We have our first 4 seasons on our Patreon page. We have a few very affordable options. We also put out 2 bonus episodes a month, and we put out a newsletter every month. We completely appreciate you that do that to support us. It really means the world to us, and it helps us just buy things like, the hosting for the website and getting the podcast together. It really helps out. And I want to thank Robin, Catherine, and Darcy, all of you for joining. We really appreciate that. Also,
thank you
so much, y'all. And also, look, if money's tight, and we totally get that, request some stickers, put it on your laptop, go to the coffee shop, let everybody see how cool you are. Or you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And we got noticed that somebody on Podbean left us a positive review. Thank you so much. On Good Pods, we've been doing really well at Good Pods, and also iTunes. We got 5-star reviews recently from Poppy Dat and Mama Tried.
Oh, thanks, Mama Tried.
We really
Mama
did.
tried,
Mama tried.
to leave a review, and she did. Good job, Mama Tried.
You did very well, Grasshopper. We are talking about reality show creeps. We both like our reality shows. We don't always like the same ones, but I've lured you into a few.
Yeah, Margo points me in the right direction a lot. Most of my reality shows are cooking-based competition shows, but Margo does point me in the direction of Real Housewives and Below Decks that I need to watch. So, yes.
We're talking about a Real Housewife today. We're going to lead off with her. Sonia, that's my question for you. Do you ever watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
I have not, but I know all about it from you.
Because I talk about it. I've watched every season of this.
Yes.
We're talking about Erika Jayne. She's been in the news quite a bit for the last year and a half outside of the show. I'm going to give you, let me just bring up, sorry, Sonia,
You're fine.
my sources. Let me see. Okay. Like she says, we do source our episodes. Erika Jayne, Sonia, I read Pretty
Wow.
Mess by Erika Jayne and Brian Moylan. It was on my Libby app, by the way. It is at the library. So get this at the library if you're interested.
So glad that the library has all the classics for people.
Her Wikipedia page, of course, but also Daily Mail. There's People Magazine, Los Angeles Times, a few articles from there. There was the Hulu TV special, The Housewife and the Hustler. And of course, just the episodes themselves, which is what I'm really judging her for, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't know if she's guilty of anything or innocent of anything. That is not for me to speak of. I am speaking about her behavior. Let me just give you her backstory, though, real quick. Erika was born July 10th, 1971 in Atlanta, Georgia. And when you read her book, she talks a lot about her childhood and every single production that she was in since the age of 5. She was a kid that did the TV circuit in Atlanta. She took a million lessons in dance and singing. She wanted to be a big star. Her mother's name is Renee. She calls her Renee. She doesn't call her mom. They have kind of a contentious relationship.
Sounds like it.
Yes. She also has one with her father. And she moved to New York in 2000. Excuse me, in 1991. She married Tom in 2000. So she's been married to 2 Toms, and she has a son named Tom. This is where it gets a little confusing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. When she graduated high school, she moved to New York City, and she tried to make it. And she was a dancer at one of those, go-go clubs, one of those bada bing type things, but she wasn't naked. As she says.
One of those bada bings.
You know what I mean? Like those places
Yes.
where you can get
Yes,
beer and
yes.
titties. And she swore that she wore a bathing suit. And it's fine. Either way, like she was making a
Yeah.
living. How else do it's New
Yeah,
York.
we're
It's tough.
no shame here. No shame here, by the way.
She's beautiful, by the way. And
Yes.
I get it. I totally get it. She's blonde and beautiful. She marries a guy that she meets in New York City. His name is Thomas Zizzo. And within a few months after meeting him, she becomes pregnant. And so they decide to get married. And at the same time, her mother moves to New York, and his mother is in New York, and they have a baby named Thomas. So they're all Toms. Mm-hmm. And the marriage is okay, but there's some problems. She's getting a little bit of burnout. She thinks she probably has some undiagnosed depression issues, postpartum.
Yes.
It's tough being in New York anyway. And if you want to be an actor in New York, it's like, who gives a shit? Everybody wants to be something in New York.
I'm an actor. So am I. So is he. So is she.
And we're all your waiter and bartender and hostess tonight. What can we do for you? I mean, it's just the way it is. It's funny because she'll go into great detail about things like my first apartment. It was on the 4th floor and it had this kind of wallpaper. And she'll talk on and on and on about that. And then she'll talk about, oh, I was in Law and Order. I was like a body on Law and Order. I was a murder victim. And then she goes on to the other thing. I'm like, go back. You were a corpse on Law and Order? That would be my avatar forever.
It's like, as people, we, first of all, love Law and Order. Love Law and it would be like the thing I tell people the minute I meet them. I'd be like, hi, I'm Sonia Mansfield. I once played a dead body on Law and Order Criminal Intent or whatever. I don't care. I would tell everybody.
She was as original recipe. She was on the first season. She was on the second or third episode. She was a dead body. John Spencer played her father. And then she was on an episode called The Violence of Summer. Anyway, she's in a couple of also cheesy films. She devotes no time to any of these appearances. She talks about how she's a great actress, but she never talks about acting, really. 96, she's completely burnt out. She and her husband are not getting along. It's tough to raise her son. She's having a hard time, and she decides that she's going to try to make it in LA instead. It just seems more friendly to her. And believe me, I've lived in New York a long time. It's not for everybody. And LA's nice. The weather's nice. It's the suburbs. Mm-hmm. You know, it's what you like. It's what you like. No shame. She moves there in 96, and her husband takes care of their son, and so does her mother does as well. And she finds her way in LA, and she's doing the whole circuit of pilots and shit like that. And then she starts working for a bar called Chasen's. And this is the relaunched bar. This is not the big place in the 70s that you heard a lot about with celebrities. And she has a regular customer, and his name is Tom Girardi. And he's a big-time lawyer, and he was in the Erin Brockovich movie.
Yes.
Is based on one of his cases where they sued PG&E. And if you've seen this movie, Julia Roberts, she won an Oscar for this. And he was the first person to earn a $1 million victory for victims in a class action lawsuit in Los Angeles. He was considered a legend for about 50 plus years in law. Mm-hmm. He was 31 years older than her.
Wow.
And they start dating. And at first, she went up to him, and he was a customer for about a year. And I like her opening line. She went up to him one day and said, "Did you know I'm single?" And then she gave him her number. I'm like, that works. He calls her. They go on dates. They start seeing each other. And he has this big mansion in Pasadena that he doesn't know what to do with. And he's already been married twice before. She moves in with him. And then within a few months, they decide to get married. And he becomes a stepfather to her son. And at first, everything's great. He's rich as shit. This guy has just money, money, money all over the place. And she loves this lifestyle. But within a few years, she's getting bored. And she's like, I really want to go. And he goes, well, do you want to act? What do you want to do? And she says, I want to sing. And when you hear her talk, you're like, no, you don't. But
I want to sing.
I just want there's a dazed and confused. What do you want to do with your life?
I just want to dance.
So Erika Girardi becomes Erika Jayne, Jayne. And she's this over-the-top confection. Her husband has so much money, he can buy the producers for Lady Gaga, all these big pop stars. She gets the best of all of them. There's a guy named Mikey who becomes her choreographer / best friend that she pays, and her designer and everything. And she has some hits on the dance charts, but what's the dance charts really? I mean,
I don't know any of her songs, by the way. But to be clear, I don't know shit about music. I am super uncool.
Well, she has a song called "It's Expensive to Be Me." Yeah, it's this pop, not EDM music, but it's definitely something you play in clubs.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah,
exactly.
That's fine if that's what you're into. By the way.
Yeah. Her first album is called Pretty Mess, and that's kind of her nickname for herself.
Okay.
And a couple of years in, she's invited to be on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And she's going on the show, and this is nobody knew who she was. And she shows up, and she's like, "Hi, I'm Erika Jayne," and she's got this accent kind of like Los Angeles. And I've got my husband's really rich. And she does this Barbie doll kind of routine. Like she's just this rich housewife of an age that's indeterminate. And she's just always over the top. She and her husband have 2 different planes, one for local transportation and one for international.
Who doesn't?
She spends, by the time she's on the show for a few years, she's bragging that she spends $40,000 a month on hair and makeup.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a shitload of money. And
I couldn't spend that much at Sephora in a month.
When I spend like $100, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, big spender.
Oh, big spender. It's a lot of money. And it's like, so that's why she had the song. It's
also, it makes it sound like you're super ugly and you need a lot of work.
And she's not, by the way. She's
right.
She's naturally very, very pretty. they have pictures of her from when she was younger. She's on the show for a few years, and there's times when she's over the top. There's times when she's being thoughtless. She just kind of comes across as a snot and whatever. Rich and
It's kind of their job, by the way.
That's the job of a housewife.
Yeah.
We want them rich. We want them obnoxious. You have to either be really, really sweet or really obnoxious. If you're boring,
Yes.
it's the worst thing you could be. Too nice and too boring just doesn't cut it.
Yes, you could be nice and super funny.
Yes. And goofy.
Like on Salt Lake City, like Heather is
Yes.
pretty nice and pretty funny, and everyone else is like really obnoxious, all the drama.
Right. Yeah, she likes the Salt Lake City one.
Yeah, I do.
In 2020, she was talking in her season before the 2020 season. I think it's the 11th season. She finally started talking about Tom, and people are kind of like, this guy's a lot older than you. Like, and you seem like this really sexual being. Like, what's the deal with this relationship? And there's rumors that she has her own apartment. His place is in Pasadena, which is not close to LA. I mean, it's a schlep. And she doesn't really talk about it. She files for divorce very suddenly around Halloween 2020. Very publicly, I'm leaving Tom. And before this, she defended this guy to the end. And then that December, there is the first of many lawsuits that happens. And it turns out that Tom Girardi, and I'm saying this, her husband's doing this, or is accused of doing this. Don't sue me, even though he doesn't have a penny to sue me. Okay.
Yes.
Basically, the whole thing is that it's this Ponzi scheme-ish. He is borrowing money for lawsuits to pay off other lawsuits. He's winning money for people and then using that money to pay his own debts versus giving it to the people that got the money that he won.
It's so fucked up.
It's insanely fucked up. He does this. They think it's been going on for over 40 years, probably at this point.
Wow.
And there's agencies that lend money to lawyers because they're known to win. So they'll be like, okay, I'll give you 10 million, let's say, and you'll pay me back within 2 years or whatever it is. And he's borrowing so much from people. He has his hands in the Democratic Party in California. He knows every governor, every mayor, the what's the law board called? What's it called? California.
It's like California Law Review?
The State Bar. Sorry.
Oh.
The California State Bar. They all protect him. And there's people that start sending, notices to them like, I'm not getting paid like I'm supposed to. And he gets warned. And there's a guy that it's up in California, up in Northern California. There was a gas pipe explosion at his home. It killed his girlfriend, and he was burned over 90% of his body.
So sad.
And he's in his 20s. He's going to spend his whole life having operations. And a friend of his mother's says, oh, I know Tom Girardi. He's the guy from that Erin Brockovich movie. You should hire him. And then Tom swoops in because they get a third of the money from the lawsuits. That's their whole bag. He goes in, swoops in, gets this big judgment for the guy, pays him a few times and tells him, I'm going to hold the money for you. You're supposed to give the money away. You're not
my mom.
Right. It doesn't matter if you can see like there's a gambling den that they're going to walk right to. It doesn't matter. It's their money. And Tom starts telling people, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to set it aside for you. It'll earn interest. You're going to have more money in the long run. And then he stops returning calls. He did this
fucked up
for this kid. He did it for many, many people. He's accused of many, many people. There's Lion Air is the big one, which was that airplane crash of Boeing a few years ago. Orphans and widows and things like that. People that lost everything. He would swoop in on lawsuits. And then he would be the big cheese because everybody would be like, oh, it's the Erin Brockovich guy. We have to have in on this.
Oh, my God. That must have been such a calling card for him.
Yeah.
Albert Finney played me.
I would buy it. I would be like, oh, my God, this is great. It's a heavy hitter. He's going to, people are going to respond to this. It turns out he is completely broke. He said he had $200 million. He was completely broke. He owed a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Erika divorces him, and she's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to go and live my life. You do your thing, but I didn't know nothing. And the next season on Housewives, there's a lot of gossip, of course. And what's she going to say? And the way she handles it is by being defensive, obnoxious, calling people the C word. Anybody who even brings up what she did or what happened, even just what happened, she would just get nasty and defensive. Now, if this were Real Housewives of Atlanta or New York or New Jersey, they wouldn't take this shit.
Right.
This is Beverly Hills. They all want to be nice. They all just like have this veneer of niceness. And she's just so fucking obnoxious.
There's also probably this fear of, well, what if I need her later for something?
There's always that.
Nobody wants to burn that bridge. What if I need to work with her later?
Exactly.
On something. Yeah.
And I would say, as a person that's worked in PR and marketing and stuff like that, the way you act is, I had no idea what happened. Of course, that's what your lawyers are going to say. I can't talk about it, but that money is tainted. It's not mine. It never was mine. That belongs to other people.
It belongs to the victims, yes.
The victims.
Yes.
And she never brought them up. It was always about her and how messed up her life was. And she went from like an $8 million house, which, by the way, it still hasn't been sold. It started at $13 million. The government's trying to get everything. So they had like a sale at the property of his law firm. And then what happens, the most recent things that have happened is there is a $50 million lawsuit. Okay. And this came out April 5th of this year. Erika's husband put money into a business called EJ Global. And that was her brand. And anybody who has any kind of knowledge of the music business, you would look at Erika and be like, how the fuck can you pay for this? Because she had her hair and makeup people fly private jet everywhere with her. She had a bunch of dancers go with her everywhere. And for gigs with like 400 people tops. Like the money, that does not make sense. You're not Springsteen. No one's going to show up, right? You're talking about people on ecstasy. Like, what is going on here? So Tom was paying for it. We know this. And he probably knew he was losing money. As a housewife, she's probably making, I would say, anywhere between like $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Easy.
Okay.
So she could live on that. And not be
because,
a part
by
of
the way,
thing.
we all live on a lot less. We all live on a lot less than that.
I do.
But I trust us, y'all. The Patreon money ain't that high. Come on, we all live on less than that.
But she behaved. It was very obnoxious, and like I said, and she was even worse in the reunion. She just really kind of doubled and tripled down. And then this new season just started, and it's just a few episodes in, so the jury's still out. Like, did Erika learn anything? It seems like she learned how to enjoy Chardonnay in the middle of the afternoon. I'm not saying, but I am implying.
That's not wrong. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. She's going through a lot. And she lives in like $1 million house. I mean, she's not, and she still pays she still swears that she pays, her own money, thousands and thousands of dollars for Glam Squad.
Sure.
One of the women said to her, we know you can't even talk about the case. She goes, well, they don't even know if there is a case. They don't even know if people even are owed money. We don't even know anything yet. It's like, no.
Bitch, read a paper.
They know the people that are owed money. When the story first came out, early December, Los Angeles Times, and we have the links in the show notes. It's like a 5,000 word article, maybe.
Yeah.
All the housewives are like, well, I could, except for Sutton. The rest of them were like, oh, I couldn't get through it. It was too long. Kyle. You know Kyle? It was too long. I couldn't read it after a while. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. By the way, if there was an article in the LA Times about a coworker.
Yes.
Or a friend.
Yes.
I'd read every fucking word of that.
You would. Why
wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Because they don't want to make her mad. They don't want to look like they have it out. It's so ridiculous. Right. And it's absurd. Anyway, so this is the latest news. She's accused by Edelson PC. It's a law firm based in Chicago. That's where some of the Lion Air people are. It's a $50 million lawsuit, and saying that she is the front woman of his scheme, so that she's the one that was actually attracting the people to the business, and that's what got Tom all that extra business in the last few years.
Oh shit!
she's in a shitload of trouble.
Yeah.
She needs, and I'm saying now, she isn't handling it well. She's not demonstrating any kind of remorse. And I get it. If you don't think you're guilty, of course you don't want to say, I feel sorry, because you don't want to be accused. But at the same time, you should feel bad that people didn't get their money all these years, that you're buying everything in sight and they're struggling to pay their bills, which shouldn't be the problem.
Can you imagine how fucking shitty you are if a dude lost his girlfriend and he is scarred for life and he has to have all these surgeries and he's not getting his money, but you really need that glam squad. So, like, you're real shitty. You're a garbage person.
And if she had taken all of her shit and just put it out there, like, here, take my stuff, take my rings, take everything. I'm going to start over. I'm going to help you do what you need to do, because this is wrong and this is fucked up and I didn't know about it. And that's
she would have been the most celebrated housewife of all time. People would have worshipped her.
And some people do. And look, I don't agree with it. And as Danny Pellegrino says, I have to speak my truth. I'm just speaking my truth here. But that's our first creep today. Reality TV creep, Erika Jayne. And goodbye.
She's such a creep. Good job, Margo.
Oh, by the way, sorry. The State Bar has finally, they've done an investigation in Tom Girardi. They finally took away his license about a year ago.
Finally.
Good job, guys. And
Does he have to pay like any kind of spousal support to her?
That's what she's trying to get.
From what, though? Like, what would he possibly have?
This is what people are... Okay, so I shouldn't have ended so quickly.
No, you're fine.
Tom is in a home for people that have mental health issues. Not depression, but more like... not schizophrenia. What's the word I'm thinking of? Memory problems.
Dementia.
Dementia, thank you. He's in a home for that. That's where his brother put him. His brother's now in charge of his...
Alzheimer's. Thank you.
Thank you. Early onset. Margo, me. Okay, what? Who am I? Where am I? What is this microphone? He is in that home. He has his brother's in charge of his stuff. They've sold everything. Mm-hmm. Everybody that's ever worked at Girardi Keys, that was the name of the company, is being investigated. He's been doing this probably maybe decades. The forensic accounting is going to be for years. It's going to take a long time. What did she know? He gave her $20 million for her business. She said in her book, Pretty Mess, that money is my money too. I sign all the IRS forms.
Yep.
You know, he put all this money into her career. She's not stupid. She has to know that how much money is coming in if you're playing to a club that seats maybe 500 people.
Right.
What are you getting paid? If it's $10,000, you've spent that all on just the airfare for everybody.
Yeah.
She has an episode where she went to Greece to do some rave. And I'm thinking, how much can that fucking pay? I mean, seriously.
Right. It doesn't hardly
really.
anything at all.
So the State Bar finally said, okay, Tom, no more license for you. And they also did a conclusion that mistakes were made, but they refuse to release the audit that they did. This is also in the LA Times. They summarized it by saying mistakes made in some of these investigations over the many decades of Mr. Girardi's career, going back for some 40 years. They're doing some sort of wide-ending probe. I mean, a lot of people were in on this.
Yeah.
But what did they really know? I mean, how much his reputation preceded him.
Right. Yeah.
And for $8 million, you could get their house in Pasadena, and it comes with a chapel. And if I walked through the doorway of that chapel, I'm sure I would burst into flames right away. But
maybe Erika should think about going back and playing dead bodies on Law and Order to make a little extra money.
I would never stop telling people. I would, honest to God.
Dude, I would do that shit for free.
You went to New York for years. You're on one of the most famous shows of all times. And you're just sort of like, I don't know. It was kind of fun. Anyway, I'm like, who's on the show? Okay, anyway.
I would do it for free.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Law and Order, if you're interested.
Same. I'm in Brooklyn. I'll come right over.
Next time I come out,
Yep.
I'll do that shit for free. Do you want to hear about Omarosa?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Omarosa Manigault Newman Newman from The Apprentice. My sources are CNN, The Daily Beast, The Washington Post, The Wrap, and Wikipedia. If you don't know who she was, or who she is, she's still with us.
She's still with us. God.
Sorry,
God.
She was on the first season of The Apprentice. It's a reality show that was hosted by our disgraced former president, Donald J. Trump. When I said I was going to talk about Omarosa in this episode, some people in the group were a little like, no, not her. Yeah, her. and I'm going to explain why. So bear with me, y'all. The truth is, she is an opportunist who only cares about money and power. She doesn't give shit about who it hurts. She sounds just like Trump. So let's start at the beginning. Omarosa was born in Youngstown, Ohio. Her parents were Teresa Marie Walker and Jack Thomas. Her father was actually murdered when she was a young age. She was only 7.
Oh, Jesus.
Which is really sad.
Yeah.
She earned a bachelor's degree in communications with a minor in radio in 1996 at the Central State University in Ohio. She's smart.
Yeah.
She's not a dum-dum. She went to Washington, D.C. She went to Howard University. She got a master's degree. She was working towards a doctorate in communications. She did not finish. She also has, she did some biblical studies training at Payne Theological Seminary. In the 90s, she worked for the office of Vice President Al Gore during the Clinton administration. And when she was on The Apprentice in 2004, she would brag about it all the time.
Yes, she did.
When I worked in Vice President Al Gore's office, blah, blah, blah. It was later reported that she was cycled through 4 different positions in 2 years, and then they eventually fired her. So Gore's former office administrator, Mary Overbay, said that she was the worst hire we ever made.
That's pretty bad.
She was transferred to Clinton's Commerce Department via the White House Personnel Office. And then Cheryl Shavers, who was then working in the Commerce Department, said that she was unqualified and disruptive, and they had her removed.
Wow. Imagine having a big job like that and fucking it up.
I know. Damn. So in 2004, she appeared on the first season of The Apprentice. And did you watch The Apprentice, by the way?
She fucked over Kwame. I will never forget that.
That's right.
She was an asshole.
By the way, I also watched, I think, the first 2 seasons of The Apprentice.
Same.
It's very watchable, but then I got bored and I moved on. Yeah, and Trump was a dick and whatever. She was the first season's villain because, and let's be honest, she was very confrontational. That's not why she's a villain to me. She fucked over Kwame. That's why she's a villain. I don't like, and I know you don't like, we don't like labeling women as villains or bitches because they're confrontational. Dudes are confrontational all the time and it's fine. And it's he's just aggressive at work or.
No, but she lied.
But she lied a lot.
Yeah.
She fucked people over. It was beyond just normal confrontation. She was a villain. That's why she was the villain. In June 2010, by the way, she came in 4th on that show or something. But she was definitely a star. Winner, by the way, the winner was Bill
Rancic.
Rancic, thank you. But she was the one who really popped on that season. So in June 2010, this is 6 years later, Omarosa worked with Trump again on a dating show for herself called The Ultimate Merger. Where 12 men competed for her affections. It aired.
She's
there was
very
one
beautiful,
season.
by the way.
She's she's super beautiful, and once again, she's a creep.
Yes,
but she's beautiful and she is smart.
Yeah,
she's an asshole.
It's
but
her
she's
attitude
smart.
that fucking sucks. We're not talking about anything else.
Yeah. So she didn't meet anybody on that show, obviously. After that show, she met actor Michael Clark Duncan in the produce section of the Whole Foods.
Where I would like to meet him, but sadly,
so
he's no longer.
Which
with
I
us.
was like, How adorable.
Yeah.
By the way, I loved him. Michael Clark Duncan is he was very like he's very special actor. Like when he showed up in things, he was always like such a good. I mean, The Green Mile. I can't even fucking watch. I can't even watch it again. By the way, I saw it in the theater. Wrecked me. Wrecked me. I can't watch it again.
Spoiler, yeah. It's a tough. It's a long movie, but it deserves to be. By the time you get to the end, you just feel like you've been through 10 lifetimes or something.
So yeah, and he's so good in it. So they were together for about 2 years. 2 years, and they were lying in bed one night, and she noticed that like his breathing was a little different, and then he stopped breathing, and it turned out he had had a heart attack. She called 911. She performed CPR. She did save his life.
Jesus, good for her.
Yeah, but he never fully recovered though. He was in the hospital the entire time after that, and he died like 2 months later in the hospital. Is a total bummer.
Yeah.
In his will, he left everything to Omarosa, but the family suspected that she changed the will and that she lied that they were engaged. So I wasn't even going to go into all of this because I was like, I don't know, this sounds like some he said, she said. But the Daily Beast has a huge article on it, and they interviewed a ton of people. So I feel like it's worth it. They said it was so his sister is one of the main people in this article, and she said that at the hospital, she brought it up that they were engaged. This family had never heard this, that they were engaged.
Did they like her before?
No.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So she's saying they're engaged. She showed his mother a picture of a ring that she had printed off from like the internet and said, "This is the ring he gave me." She wasn't wearing it.
I could take a picture. I could print a picture of the ring too.
I could also pull up a picture on my phone and say I'm engaged.
I could take a picture and take it to the Brooklyn Library and say, I want that picture over there.
I am also engaged to Idris Elba. I have the ring on my phone, everybody. So she's saying this is the ring that he had given her. She never showed anybody the actual ring. And then like after he died, like then she mysteriously had a ring, but it was never the ring that
she showed them.
Yes. They don't believe that they were engaged. His best friend said that he was getting ready to end things with her, that he was definitely seeing more than one woman.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah. The family also said that Omarosa had like an estate sale after he died and sold a lot of his shit without their knowledge or consent.
That's fucked up.
A lot, like so fucked up. And his sister, Judy Duncan, said, people want me to comment on her. And it's like, what can you really say about a serpent other than it's a serpent? I'm not. And then she said, I'm not a snake handler, so I stay away.
Oh, man. That's
so apparent. It totally sucks. Apparently his funeral was a shit show. She organized it. Fellow Celebrity Apprentice star Claudia Jordan said that the funeral was a press opportunity. She said that she called like a friend after hers and said it was like a mockery of a funeral. There was a red carpet leading to the chapel.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's what he would want.
Yeah, there was a parking lot that was like really like close to the funeral, but that was for A-listers like Tom Hanks and like Hollywood people, but like family and friends had to park in this like second lot that was like farther away.
What an asshole.
His best friend, Duncan's best friend, was seated in the 12th row at the funeral. His fucking best friend.
That's fucked up.
It's so fucked up.
That's not nice. That's not cool.
No. And so at the estate sale, I mean, she sold fucking everything and then just gave shit away. So like all of these like personal items that like the family had given him, letters that they had written,
or
like
and stuff,
photos, all that, gone.
Fuck her.
So shitty. So there's that. They hired a private investigator at one point to investigate it, but it's hard to prove stuff like that.
Super hard to prove. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for them. But they interviewed all these people about the funeral and that don't lie. In February 2016, back when she was still just a regular old Trump supporter, she was going on cable news and just talking about how great Trump is, singing his praises. And this like Fox News reporter kind of, she criticized Trump, said like maybe he's not the best thing for the Republican ticket. And then Omarosa's like, I don't care what you think, you have big boobs.
Well, both can be true.
I'm like, both can be true. So, and she was rewarded for this because in July 2016, she was named I'm going to put this in quotes, the director of African American outreach for his presidential campaign. By the way, we're laughing because he's a fucking racist. He's so fucking racist. He's a white supremacist. Like, and it's like, I have a director of African American outreach. I assume she just sat in an office all day and did nothing because
I remember she took him to a black church for a press opportunity.
So bad.
Because he's so religious,
Yes, he's so religious when he's holding the Bible upside down, can't name one thing from the Bible. Like
grabbing pussies.
Oh, he's so awful. So, up until then, by the way, Omarosa was a self-identified diehard Hillary supporter, had endorsed Barack Obama before that, stumped for the Affordable Care Act, and then once Trump was a front runner, she said that she was a Trumplican, switching from, I know, basically this is her opportunity, right, to get some power because this person that she is connected with. Yes. So in September 2016, before the election, she did an interview on Frontline, and I think this is really scary. She said, every critic, every detractor will have to bow down to President Trump. It's everyone who ever doubted Donald, who ever disagreed, who ever challenged him. It is the ultimate revenge to become the most powerful man in the universe. And she said that Trump had an enemies list of Republicans who voted against him.
Not a shock.
Not a shock.
No.
So, Trump wins. Fucking disgraceful thing here in America. We should be ashamed. Omarosa becomes the assistant to the president and a director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison. This is in April 2017. Promptly gets into an argument with journalist April Ryan. April accused Omarosa of trying to physically intimidate her out Press Secretary Sean Spicer's office. I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
Ryan adds that Omarosa verbally threatened her, and then Omarosa responded, "Fake news." Fuck these people.
They're such trash. I'm sorry, the hearings are happening right now as we're recording this, so it's just so like, yep, probably, yep.
Yeah, so in June 2017, because she also, she wants to help Trump connect with African-American voters, she invited the Congressional Black Caucus to visit the White House, and she signed the invitation, the Honorable Omarosa Manigault. Sorry. There's nothing honorable, first of all, about her. Second, they were offended. They took exception to this because you don't just give yourself that title.
Isn't that
she's not a judge.
Right.
She's a political aide.
Well, you're the amazing Sonia Mansfield, so.
Yeah, that's true. I did have my name officially changed, though. They were like, no thanks. They declined the invitation.
Wow.
Yeah, so she continues to do her shitty job. In the middle of all this, she got married. She really wanted the White House involved. She arranged some photo shoots and shit at the White House with her massive wedding party. It was 30 fucking people in that wedding party, which you're not supposed to do, by the way. And she did it anyway.
Trump had his brother's funeral there too.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Yeah. So on December 13th, 2017, White House Chief of Staff John Kelly fired her. He cited money and integrity issues, inappropriate use of company vehicles. She claimed she resigned,
Yeah, sure.
but then sure you did. But then later released audio tapes of John Kelly firing her. So I'm not quite sure what she was trying to do there. Not long after that, she went on Celebrity Big Brother, where she, like, throughout the season, she expressed her objections to working with Donald Trump, and claimed that, like, you in danger, girl. Basically, America, you in danger, girl. And everyone's like, oh, Omarosa's speaking the truth. She didn't do shit about it when she could have done something about it. She waited until it didn't benefit her anymore. And then she said something. So, like, she worked to normalize his sexism, his racism, his homophobia until it didn't benefit her anymore. She's not a hero. She's a piece of shit. Fuck Omarosa. In August 2018, she released her book Unhinged.
Wow. Stop it. That is not the name.
It is the name.
Shit.
I assume that she
app. It's got to be there.
I think they have all the classics, Margo.
Right.
I'm sure they have Unhinged. And it's all about, like, her time at the White House, and she criticizes Trump and his administration. She says that Trump is racist. Says, there's all
Water's
kinds of
wet.
Yeah, water's wet. There's all kinds of witnesses that caught him using the N-word during the filming of The Apprentice. But still, like, you went to work for him. You enforced his fucked up policies of separating children from their parents at the border. He had done the whole grab them by the pussy thing before all of that. He didn't condemn white supremacy at Charlottesville. He defended a fucking child molester like Roy Moore. And she was still like, It wasn't until he fired her that it was like, I care about America.
Oh, wow.
She's a creep.
Yeah.
In 2020, she was forced to pay almost $62,000 to the U.S. Treasury for her violation of the Ethics in Government Act.
Holy shit. I didn't know this.
Yes. But then, just this last April, she won $1.3 million in attorney's fees because Trump had tried to sue her for claiming that she violated their NDA agreement.
Holy shit. Okay, so I'm rooting for her there.
Yeah. So she won that, but apparently she had asked for quite a bit more, and the judge was like, no. Like, pay for your own glam squad. This is what your attorneys cost. I just think she sucks.
She does suck.
I mean, she's an opportunist who doesn't give a shit about anyone but herself. And yeah, so fuck her. That's our creep, Omarosa.
Good job, Sonia. And yes, once again, let me make this clear. We're talking about people who were on reality shows and acted like themselves and acted the fool, and they put themselves out there. That's, I'm not attacking the people across the street or something like that. We're going after people.
Correct.
Right. What an asshole. I remember that. I was so mad. I loved The Apprentice the first season. I got really into it, and I was so mad when she screwed that guy over. Yeah.
My sister was in her master's degree program for business at the time, and we were like, what a fun show. Like, she's going to school to learn business, and here's this thing that's like, it's a silly reality show, but there was like a business mind to it, and I was like, how interesting. And so we would watch it, and it was fun. And she was a good villain. Like, I get it.
Villain.
But she is a bad person.
She is. And I remember, like, I've been in New York since the 90s. I worked events that Trump was there, and I knew people who worked for him. And I worked on one of his books. I didn't work directly with him, but with his people. Yeah. And he was kind of a goof. Like, people just knew he wasn't that rich. He wasn't that smart. He was just a good salesman, and he wasn't hurting anybody. It was like no big deal. Yeah. And this has just really turned him into a psycho. Like,
now he is hurting people.
Yeah, it's crazy just how he's turned. Okay.
Yes.
It's going to be extra long episodes, Sonia.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay. Taking a break, and then we'll come back with mystery. All right, Sonia, we're going to our next creep. When you were back in the dating world in your 20s, do you remember any good pickup lines?
Girl, are you wearing space pants because your ass is out of this world?
I've heard that too. If I told you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?
Yes. Yes. So gross.
Ugh. That's dating for you. So our
Yeah.
creep today, our second creep for me today is Mystery. His real name is Erik von Markovik, and he's from Canada. We don't often get a lot of Canadian creeps. They're usually a nice
Yeah.
people. But-
Why is he a creep? It's a mystery.
Well, wait till you find out about this guy.
It's
You're gonna run for the hills.
it's not a mystery, y'all.
No. My sources are his Wikipedia page, of course, but also he has a book, Sonia, also on my Libby app, because only the classics are on the Libby app.
Only the classics.
The Mystery Method: How to Get Beautiful Women into Bed by Mystery. Neil Strauss, who's like his cohort in
So
Creepitude.
gross.
The Game by Neil Strauss. I just poked around in that book. He's really a piece of work. The Pickup Artist TV show, season 2, is on Amazon, by the way, for all y'all who want to see it.
I don't think I want to watch this.
Oh, God, it's bad. I'll tell you all about it. And he has his own site called Ask Mystery. This will be pretty interesting. There is this whole pickup culture that's happened, and this has been going on. I mean, men have been wanting to screw women for years. I mean, we're talking.
Yes.
This is very heteronormative. We're sticking with right here.
Yes.
That's this whole culture is too. It's about men picking up women and having
Yes.
sex with them. And the more women you can get, the more virile you are, the more interesting you are. This is the whole thing that's sold to people, that men want sex all the time. They can't control it. You know, if you could find a guy that's halfway decent, you're lucky. But also, all guys deserve a chance, and a second chance, and a third chance, and a fourth chance, even if they're being
Yeah.
totally shitty
Set the
to
bar
you.
really low.
It's a low
What did you
fucking bar.
expect?
There
Yes.
were pickup books that came out in the 60s. And I remember in the 70s, 80s, 90s, like back in magazines, you'd see books about picking up women. There's always been these people that said they're experts on that. Or women who are like, we always get these articles that are like, how to attract men. I'm like, I don't know, cleavage and good hair. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah. That helps.
That helps.
Saying, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Just
Showing
walking up
up.
to dudes. Walking up to a dude and say, stick it in. That might work.
Maybe.
I,
Maybe Idris Elba.
look, I'm just saying that's how I met my ex. And it works
why
for
he's
some people.
yeah.
That's why he's an ex.
So Eric James Markovik, born in Canada, 1971 in Toronto. He was kind of a shy loner type. He was into Dungeons and Dragons. He was a geek. Also 6'5", so he completely stands out.
Dude, that's half the battle right there.
Exactly, that's what I said.
Yeah.
You get all the model types; they're all looking for tall guys. Like this
Yeah.
is not. This is not a challenge.
Dude, if you're 6'5" and you're like a halfway decent human being, you're gonna get laid.
You're halfway good looking. Because you
It's
know
true.
what? We want to feel. We do want to feel safe around people.
We
And-
like some women. It's very like I want to feel like a small, delicate little flower,
Yeah.
and you like a tall dude. It's just, it's true.
It's
And by the way, no diss on our short kings.
No,
like,
no.
y'all are rad.
yeah, you are rad. But Eric here, he was very nervous and nerdy, and he was really into something you love, magic. He did magic tricks.
By the way, Margo, I don't want you all thinking I really like magic.
No.
I don't like magic
She
tricks.
really
and
fucking hates
and magicians give me the creeps.
It's like for me, like people who take out their guitars and start playing in parties, like they sit on the floor and play, like this is something I've been working on. Like I'm out the door.
Turn around and walk right back out.
I'm like Homer Simpson's dad at the bar. That whole gift that goes. That's me.
Yep.
He is nerdy and is having a hard time talking. And look, I get that. So some people are really socially awkward. I get women, when we're teenage girls, we get magazines that tell us how to overcome your, get confidence and blah, blah, blah.
Get confidence, stupid.
Yeah. Just shoulders back, tits up. What's your problem? No, but we're sort of, we're taught to like learn about our insecurities and how to work on them. And guys aren't. They're more taught at the time, sort of taught to like, just, rub some dirt in and walk it off.
And sometimes they're taught to prey on our insecurities.
This is Erik. Erik is learning from it's called PUA, the pickup artist community. He's lonesome. He wants a relationship, but he really wants to just fuck around. And he starts learning about human psychology and behavior because he's an illusionist, Sonia. He's always like doing tricks. He learns about how to talk people into believing things. And he just learns that women are taught to be super fucking insecure. You meet the most beautiful woman and she will tell you all of her flaws in 2 seconds. When you get to other women, she'll tell us. And there aren't any, but we're so picked apart as a society, and we're trained to do that.
Yeah. We all do. We all immediately like see a photo of ourselves and we hone in on like the one thing that's like we hate the most. Yes.
Yep. And he's teaching guys. He takes this and he calls it he calls himself Mystery because he's a magician. Get it? And he comes up with these methods of teaching other men how to get chicks. And what you do is you need a wing or 2 wings. So that's your wingman. And you go in and he calls women targets. And you go into a bar and you figure out your target and you hope to get a target who has a friend. And here's the thing, that's called a set. And you have to be nice. And I've had this happen to me where like I have a very beautiful friend I used to hang out with. And sometimes guys completely didn't even see me there. And
this is me and my sister, by the way, back in the day.
Right.
She's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gorgeous.
Immediately, yes, to Michelle. And I'm like talking to their married friend.
Yes, exactly. And
yes.
And Mystery is like, oh, no, you kind of like have to flirt with all the thing he taught them is you have your targets, and then they have a method called Kino, which is you try to start touching women, but women don't want to be touched right away because it's creepy. So you try to make it seem like it's their idea. And his whole thing is that he would take a woman's hand and then put it on his arm and says, okay, that's all you get, and then take the hand away. And if you got a couple of drinks in you, you're going to be like, oh, that's okay. And you put your hand back on him. I mean, you're also preying on people who are drinking. Let's remember this. He has a thing called negging women. And to neg a woman is to insult her, but just slightly, just to throw her off her game so that she then becomes more interested in you. There's a thing called sarging, and sarging is just like looking for women for sex. And there's these things you do when you're in a nightclub, and there's things you do if you're just out in the open. And he comes up with this method, and he becomes friends with a guy named Neil Strauss. And Neil Strauss is 5'6", talking about our short guys. And he's a writer for the New York Times and Rolling Stone, a career any writer in New York would be thrilled with, right? He can't get laid for the life of him. And he doesn't know what he's doing wrong. He just, doesn't dress well, doesn't whatever.
And it's not because he's 5'6", by the way.
No, I know a lot of short dudes that get laid left and right. There's
a majority of my boyfriends were my height.
Yeah.
I'm 5'6".
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Neil Strauss. I knew it, Darren Strauss. So Neil Strauss, he does an assignment where he goes to LA and he hooks up with Mystery, and he's like, teach me what your methods are. And he's going to do a whole article about the culture of the pickup artist community, right? And they become friends. And then Mystery calls him Style because he was in the style section. Get it? At the New York Times.
I don't get it.
Exactly. And he's dressing better. He has more confidence. I mean, if you've written for Rolling Stone and New York Times for 10 years, you've got some good stories. You've landed some good interviews. Like he's just, and I get it. Learning confidence, great.
Yeah.
And some people, right. But it becomes predatory. They started making a business out of this, and they dudes start going to their classes and having to learn how to pick up women, negging,
so icky.
targets, whatever. So this
So
is
icky.
in the late 90s, early 2000s, let's say. And that's when they knock on the door for VH1. And VH1 used to be a video hits one, was what it was called.
Yeah.
And then they started doing Rock of Love and Flavor of Love and all those dating shows.
I watched those.
I did
I
too.
totally watched those. And all the like, I love the 80s. Like all that stuff. I watched that stuff too.
Bret Michaels is very charming. I wouldn't. He's very charming. It is fun to watch dumb
And
drunk
it
chicks.
was and it was all these like the Rock of Love was my favorite one though because it was like these rocker chicks. It was like a very specific kind of woman was
Right.
there. Someone like me wasn't showing up for Rock of Love. Like, hi everybody, like with my cat's eye
then just
glasses
the
and
whole-
saddle shoes. Like
And the premise that, hi, I'm Bret Michaels, and I just haven't met the right girl yet. This is how
that
I'm gonna-
must be it. Yeah.
Okay, whatever,
They
dude.
they all look like Tawny Katane from like
Yes.
White Snake videos. Like it was the best. And then Flava of Love was the Flava Flav one, which was
the hip-hop version.
and also very entertaining.
Flavor Flav is very funny. Him and,
Yeah.
and Bridget, what's her name, Brigitte?
Yeah, Brigitte Nelson.
He called her
Yeah.
Bridget.
Brigitte.
They were in the celebrity. Anyway, so
Oh, in the surreal world.
The surreal world,
that's
right.
Right. Yes.
that's how they met each other. Anyway, so around this time, they sell a show, and it's called The Pickup Artist, and it's to VH1. It's in 2008 when it premieres. And it's him with 12 guys, and he's got 2 dudes that are his wings. I don't know anybody's fucking name, from them to the people in the cast to the
I've never watched the show.
It is, he shows up and his whole thing also is peacocking. When you wear a funny hat or big jewelry, that's going to make a woman go, hey, what's that? And it's like, you're also 6'5", dumb fuck. You don't
Yeah.
need a big fuzzy hat and a fake
He's not
tattoo.
he's not wrong though about the peacocking cuz
Yes.
it is true. If I see somebody who's wearing something really outrageous, I will probably comment on it. It's
But you
like
have to
I'll be
have
like,
something.
"Nice, I like your hat," or "Oh, I hardly noticed you, but I like your hat," or whatever. Like, yeah, it works.
Yeah, there's certain things that work, by the way. I think
Yes.
like negging does work in a certain way, but
Yeah,
should
that
you be
one's-
using
that-
it?
No, it's
No.
super shitty. If you want to wear a giant fucking foam cowboy hat and pretend you're Burt Reynolds to meet chicks, go for it. You're
Right.
not hurting anybody. But like picking on them and getting at their self-esteem is fucked up.
And that's what this whole thing is. It's
Yeah.
just like getting the numbers. It's just getting
Yes.
a lot of women. And the show is like a big hit. And they have challenges like very easy, just like, okay, we're going to set up this environment as a club and go in there and see how you talk to women. And some guys, it just is like they're good looking or they're fine looking. They could totally, it's just they're shy. But they go
Yeah.
beyond, like, there's one guy he was there and he had 2 women sitting on each side of him and he was having a nice conversation with them. And they're like yelling at the screen, like, make out with them, make out with them. And the guy didn't want to. He was just kind of like, he was having fun and they were just giving him a hard time. Like, you could have 2 chicks at once. And he kind of looked at his face like, I didn't want that. I mean, or maybe he does. He doesn't want to do it on camera or he doesn't want to do it with like a bunch of people around. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was very much pushing them to make other people uncomfortable, to invade their space. And everything's about invading another person's space, not respecting boundaries. Because
I don't like
women
it.
with boundaries are fucking bitches. You got to figure
Yes.
out a way
You
around them.
bitches. That makes me uncomfortable. Well, you're a bitch. I didn't want to fuck you anyway. You're ugly.
The game came out around this time, and that's Neil Strauss's book. And it's called The Game, Penetrating the Secret Society of Pickup.
Ew.
I know, it's disgusting.
He had to use the word penetrating. He's sicko.
He is a part of this. He also wrote The Dirt, Motley Crue's book, which is one of my favorite rock
which
books
you
ever,
love.
which I fucking love, I will admit.
I assume the library has it.
I like his writing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's there. It's, by the way, I couldn't get that book. All these other books I talked to you about, the Libby app had them right away.
What the fuck,
Yeah.
Libby?
Yes.
The
game
Dirt's a
has it.
classic, you assholes. Get your shit together.
I have The Dirt. What I meant to say was Libby app had Erika Jayne writing ready and it had Mystery writing ready, but Neil Strauss's book, you have to wait a few weeks to get it.
Okay.
He's still a contributor for Rolling Stone. He did also, I read his book about Marilyn Manson, who was one of our past creeps. it's very funny that in the time since then, that pickup culture has changed. And these former pickup artists, on the one hand, say, yeah, that was kind of gross what we did back in the day. It didn't start out this way to them. They're like, oh, we were just trying to teach guys how to,
Talk to girls.
Find romance. Like, no.
Right.
You turned it into just scoring. And it's completely gross the way the women were treated.
Gross.
And it's also obviously it's heteronormative. It's just all of like anything that the straight guy needs to get what he wants.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah, fair game.
Fair game. Neil Strauss writes a book in 2015 and it's called, I'm sorry, I read some of it. He does get married. He dates a woman and she's a former model. She's really beautiful. And the book is called The Truth, an uncomfortable book about relationships. It was released in 2015. They were dating for a few years and then he cheated on her with one of her friends.
Triggered.
And she kicked his ass out. And then they had a talk about it and he went to rehab. And when he talks about it, it's so gross the way he talks about women, like just any woman on the plane that he notices all these gross details and has to show us like all these gross details. On the one hand, I'm like, ew. But he did kind of learn his lesson, and he married this woman. They get back together. They have a kid. A few years later, they get divorced. Erik moved back to Toronto for a while, lived with his brother, Mystery. And then he moved back to Las Vegas. And they're both selling online courses. And it's more about improving your life versus just getting laid. It's more of a life thing that they're trying to go for.
Okay.
Which I support that because I do like self-help shit. Like I do.
Yeah.
I think that's important. But for the time that it was and what they did and the way they talked to women and the culture that begat that and what we see now, if you go to TikTok, like pickup TikTok is the most disgusting thing ever.
Oh, it's so gross.
But that's my second creep today. Mystery. The magician.
Mystery. Ta-da! Good job, Margo.
Thank you.
Are you ready to hear about Puck?
Fucking A, yes.
Yes. Okay. We're going to talk about David Rainey, also known as Puck from The Real World. My sources are Distractify, MTV, The Ranker, TMZ, and Wikipedia. So in 1993, the third season of MTV's The Real World was based here in San Francisco. The season's breakout stars were Pedro. Yeah, he was gorgeous, by the way. Beautiful man, living with AIDS, and big deal at the time.
A gay man.
And then a gay man living with AIDS. And then we had disgusting bike messenger Puck, who...
and Rachel Campos.
Oh, yeah. We're not really going to talk about her, but she sucks, too. Puck, who just, like... He was just gross. You knew you could tell he smelled bad. And he just had really shitty behavior that eventually got him kicked out of the house. The first person in real world history to get kicked out of the house. So David Rainey was born in Oakland. I did not know this.
Oaktown
in 1968. He was raised in the Bay Area. I really couldn't find much about like his childhood or anything like that. So
it's a mystery.
It's a mystery. In the real world, or I should say on the real world, Puck joined the show. He worked as a bike messenger here. He often clashed with his roommates, especially over his hygiene.
Yeah.
There was the time he picked his nose and then he like scooped his finger into like a jar of peanut butter that's like everybody's peanut butter.
I remember that.
It's so gross. He was always covered in like scabs and shit because he was always falling off his bike. He was just a nasty, nasty man. His roommate Mohammed complained that Puck didn't even bother changing his socks, and he would just like put on more socks to like cover the smell.
Ugh.
That shit don't work, by the way. Change your socks. Judd, who is Jewish, was also offended by Puck. Puck would wear this T-shirt that depicted like 4 guns that were arranged in the shape of a swastika.
Oh, great.
Yeah, super awesome to be like home
awesome.
chilling in your apartment and you've got fucking Nazi memorabilia walking around. And of course, Puck is a dick, right? So I'm just wearing a shirt and like stop.
I'm
punk.
Oh.
I'm so fucking rock star. And he declined to stop wearing it. At one point, he hooked up with Rachel, the one you met. So gross. I don't understand. He's so nasty. Anyway, they hooked up. But his main thing was he loved to like talk shit with Pedro. Like he loved to like make fun of his job. By the way, he worked as an AIDS educator. How do you make fun of that? Like he was such a garbage person. Like so he would make fun of him for doing that. He made fun of his accent. He made fun of him for having AIDS. Like he was
Cuban
a shitty.
American.
Yeah, he's a shitty person all the time. So Puck was so shitty to him that it was stressing Pedro out, and it was like impacting his health. Like, you know,
Right.
obvious. And he was like, it's not healthy for me to be here. He's like, I think I'm going to have to move out. And then the other housemates they all voted and they kicked out Puck instead, which was such a relief as someone who used to watch these shows religiously. You know, because he's a gross asshole anyway. They all hated him. Judd would later say in one of the reunion shows that Puck was obnoxious and homophobic. A lot of that was cut out from the show. And then he said
The
when
white guy.
Yeah, and then when Pedro died, Puck said, "Good riddance."
Wow.
Such a prick. He's on this list for that alone, to be honest. All the other stuff is just, he's fucking gross. So here's what he did after the show, because he did fucked up shit after, too. In 1998, he met a woman named Betty Garcia at a farmer's market. They had 2 children together named Bogart and Rocco.
Of course. Bogart.
Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, he did a season of Road Rules Real World Battle of the Sexes.
I'm sure I saw it.
And he married Betty like on camera. So you know, maybe you remember that. Also in 2003, he was arrested for domestic violence against Betty. Charges were dropped. A few years later, the family was living in Los Angeles, where Puck was working as a truck driver. And then he hit her again. He pleaded no contest. He did a year in the county jail in Los Angeles. He also pleaded no contest to felony possession of ammunition, and then he got 3 years probation. So, not a cool dude. In March 2010, Puck and his 8-year-old son were in a car accident in San Diego, and his son was bruised and was in the hospital. And Puck got fractures to both feet, right hand, neck, and clavicle, and it turns out he was drunk.
Jesus Christ. Oh, no.
So he got a DUI, child endangerment, driving without a license. He did 4 years probation. He had to do 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling and 52 parenting classes.
Wow.
Dude,
Yeah,
come on.
He fucked up.
Yeah. His horrible behavior continued into 2012. He was convicted of stalking a woman, not his wife, by the way. He did 2 years in prison for that.
Jesus, he must have been really bad.
Yeah. That means he violated it, like
The parole, because
he violated parole, and the articles I read speculated that there was some sort of restraining order in place that he violated.
So domestic violence and guns and alcohol.
Stalking.
And he's pissed off, yeah. That's
Yeah.
not a great combination.
No. In 2014, TMZ ran into him somewhere. I swear to God, I watched the video. It looks like they fucking ran into him outside a mall or something. They're like, dude, it's Puck. What the fuck? And they ask him what he's up to, and apparently he was working as a makeup artist, which I thought was very strange because he just got out of jail for stalking a woman. I don't think he kept that job for long because in the interview, he said he works with ugly, stinky chicks.
Oh, great.
Yeah. He did an interview with MTV when they were doing like a anniversary thing about like, where are they now? Here's a couple of nuggets I pulled out of here. One, he was pissed at the show Glee because he claims they stole his nickname because they had a character named Puck. Yes, Puck. There were no other Pucks before
never heard
you.
of Shakespeare?
No other Pucks before him.
Jesus Christ.
Such a prick. And then here's the he's just talking about Nicole Richie, and he's like, Nicole Richie's talent lives right here in my fucking pinky. You can get famous just because your dad's famous. She's not even blood, she's adopted. She's famous for no reason.
Oh, and you're famous for a big reason.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, and you're famous for what now? Being a dude who acted like a prick and got kicked out of a house on a reality show. So shit. By the way, I don't give a shit about Nicole Richie, but I just thought, like, what a fucking dick.
No, it's just a dick thing to say.
It's a total dick thing to say. Nowadays, apparently, Puck is living, quote unquote, off the grid on a farm outside of Los Angeles where he raises chickens.
Okay, as long as he's not around people.
I believe he is still married. Believe it or
Wow.
not, that woman is still with him. But I told you this one would be short. That's our creep. Fuck this guy.
I have to say, though, I think David was the first one because he was kicked out in L.A.
Did David get kicked out?
Yes, because he's the one that attacked Tammy. Remember, he tried to drag
I didn't
the
remember.
blanket off of Tammy.
You know what? I didn't remember if he got kicked out or not.
Oh, yeah, because I watch Paramount Plus.
Oh,
has
yes!
The Real World
You
reunions.
were right. Thank you for correcting me. Puck wasn't even the first to get kicked out. So
No,
what the
he's
fuck
not even
is he
original
famous
there.
for?
No, it was David who's still pissed off about it all these years later, and Tammy still gets shit from people because of it.
That's so
It's like-
ridiculous.
It's so fucked up and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the way men are coddled, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that MTV did cover a lot of his crap because whatever.
Yeah, I think that I'm fascinated that they didn't include it in the show. I think they would include it now.
Absolutely,
But back
they
in the
would.
day, they would not include it. And they just made him look like he was gross and a prick. And he was definitely shitty, especially to the women in the house, too.
Yeah.
Like, he just, like, super disrespectful, wouldn't let them talk. He manipulated them all the time. Like, he's really fucked up on that show.
He thought he was like a rock star or something. He just kind of
and he's
completely
not.
sold him. No, he's not. He's a loser.
No, and I wanted to mention that coincidentally, because Judd and Pam, this was a whole thing,
together.
are together. This was a whole thing on that season of The Real World. Was Pam actually had a boyfriend and she was doing her residency or going to medical school? I can't remember. And Judd like worked as a comic artist. And he was always dating and he just couldn't find love. Eventually, like Pam and Judd fell in love after the show. It didn't even happen on the show. It happened after. They still live here in the Bay Area. And they are appearing on an episode of the Bitch Talk podcast, which is hosted by a friend of mine named Aaron. And apparently they went down a whole Puck rabbit hole. So you should go find Bitch Talk and listen because they have some more dirt on Puck than I do.
Excellent. And we'll also retweet it and we'll make sure on social media to promote it. Oh, excellent. All right, everyone. That's the show for today. Season 16, episode 1, and done for the books. Woo! Next time we will do what we normally do is we pick one creep and then we have a non-creep. We will send you out in the world feeling much better. We hope we got your rage out. Please follow us on all the social media places. We love it when you use the Annie Potts GIF. We got one. When you're sending us suggestions for creeps and non-creeps, both are important because sometimes we have a real problem. We're always looking for creeps, and you guys always find interesting ones for us. We have all the basic ones out there for sure on our list. It's the non-creeps we usually struggle with, so it's always helpful when you can send us suggestions.
Yeah.
Ask us for stickers. We have an email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Where can people find you, Margo?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick for Twitter and Instagram. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. That's going to be changing in a few weeks. I'm going to have a new thing because I have a book coming out in the fall. We'll be talking more about that in episodes to come.
Yay!
In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe. Don't stick your finger in peanut butter, what other people use, you pig. Christ on a cracker, people.
Jeez. Gross.
Don't be a creep.
Creep!
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.